Trump made it very clear that this is an election about Donald Trump taking full control of the military to use against his political enemies, taking full control of the Department of Justice to prosecute those who disagree with him.
Welcome back to America Decides. While casting his ballot in his home state today, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz argued former President Trump is basically all about retribution if he returns to the White House. With that as one topic of possible many, let's bring in our political panel, Kadia Goba and Sophia Cai. Kadia is a political reporter for Semafor. Sophia is a national politics reporter at Axios. So I want to play some sound for the two of you from Vice President Harris's interview yesterday with Hallie Jackson. First thing I want to talk to you about and let you listen to is Hallie asked about whether or not, or to what degree, the vice president is emphasizing her gender in this race. Let's listen.
You've been reluctant to lean into, to talk about the historic nature of your candidacy on the campaign trail. Why is that?
Well, I'm clearly a woman. I don't need to point that out to anyone. The point that most people really care about is, can you do the job? And do you have a plan to actually focus on them? They deserve to have a president who's focused on them, as opposed to a Donald Trump who's constantly focused on himself.
Okay, Kadia, we remember 2016. I'm with her. None of that in this campaign.
Yeah, I think this was very obvious during the DNC. And she's right. She is a woman. She's a black woman. We're all aware of that. But I think they're taking notes from the Hillary campaign. That somehow didn't work for Hillary back then in 2016. And I think it's, you know, the campaign understands maybe this is not the best route. She is obviously a woman. She is obviously a black woman. And we see the same thing when it comes to race. We all, people of color, mostly thought that she was not going to run on this issue of race, kind of the same way Obama did.
Sophia, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think, look, like I spend a lot of my time out on the campaign trail talking to Trump supporters. And Harris knows, especially to reach those undecideds, the 5% in the middle, she cannot say, vote for me because I'm a woman. Right. She has to show that there's something else for people to vote for. And that is what she's trying to showcase, which is her leadership on the issues, her leadership to be able to lead the most powerful military in the world, right? Like that sort of thing is what she's trying to emphasize.
So for those who are not living in swing states, Washington, D.C., hello, not a swing state, not a jurisdiction that's even swingy at all, you can still see ads about Harris that hit aggressively. These are either Trump supporting or Trump campaign ads on her advocacy in the past for transgender interventions. Hallie Jackson also asked the vice president about this issue in general, and because this is a big part of Trump campaign advertising, let's listen to the answer.
Do you believe that transgender Americans should have access to gender-affirming care in this country?
I believe we should follow the law. I mean, I think you're probably pointing to the fact that Donald Trump's campaign has spent tens of millions of dollars.
They're trying to define you on this.
Yes,
I'm asking you to define yourself, though. Just broadly speaking, what is your value? Do you believe they should have that access?
I believe that people, as the law states, even on this issue about federal law, that is a decision that doctors will make in terms of what is medically necessary. I'm not going to put myself in the position of a doctor.
Sophia, you mentioned being on the campaign trail talking to Trump supporters. This is an issue that resonates.
Yeah, I should say that when Trump is on the stump, when he mentions transgender sports, when he mentions revoking funding for schools or other institutions that are supporting gender-affirming care, he gets the most applause. And it's not necessarily because, you know, there are so many trans people who are voting, but there are some. It's because the Trump campaign is using the trans issue as one to paint Democrats as too liberal, too extreme for the average voter. As
a culture war divider issue. We're on this side. Even one of the ads says, she's for they, them, Trump is for you.
I think this is clearly fodder for the base. I'm not sure it resonates with that demographic both candidates are trying to reach, right in the middle, undecided Republicans who are disaffected with Trump and want to kind of have an excuse to vote for Kamala Harris. This didn't resonate in 2022, so there has to be some internal polling that Republicans are relying on or the campaign is relying on. I don't. It's peculiar that you see it on the campaign now because it didn't work in the midterms.
Sophia, we've got billionaires involved: Bill Gates, Elon Musk, Mark Cuban, celebrities. Celebrities are always in and out of politics on both sides. Your sense of this collective visibility down the stretch?
First of all, they're billionaires, so their money matters.
Right.
I think Elon Musk.
Their phone calls get answered.
Of course, and Elon Musk, he's counting on his money to buy votes. I mean, he's spending significantly on the ground game. He's spending his own time on the stump with Trump. You know, Bill Gates is doing it in more of a quiet way. I think this is the first time he has gotten into politics. He's made it very clear that this election is different and that, you know, to the extent that he's involved, it's because of Kamala Harris's support of doing something about climate change, childcare. I mean, these are issues that he and his ex-wife, Melinda Gates, have both been very concerned about. And as it comes to celebrities, look, both campaigns have spent resources building up entire teams to court celebrities, to manage celebrity engagement, and that's something that is very new this cycle.
And Kadia, you have written recently about the sense among some of you talked to that Harris needs to do more than she's currently doing in the messaging battle.
Yeah, a lot of people, or some people, and some Democrats felt that she kind of lost that battle. When she came out, she had a lot of momentum, and it wasn't just a honeymoon era. When I look back and think about Donald Trump's shooting, that didn't get as much coverage as it normally did because she was really, really saturating the market. Now you see there was a 2-week lull, and I think she allowed, or people think that she allowed him to gain some traction there, which could have hurt her. Likewise, people question why celebrities didn't come out earlier for her. Short time, short campaign. Why not just flood the market and have those celebrities on the stump from the very beginning up until the campaign, end of the campaign?
A significant question. Kadia Goba, Sophia Cai, thanks so very much for your time. Always a pleasure.